You open your laptop. The assignment has been sitting there for 2 weeks. You knew about it. You thought about it almost every day. You even told yourself you'd start tomorrow. But somehow, tomorrow kept moving. Now it's 11:47 p.m. The deadline is tomorrow morning. And suddenly, something changes. The fog disappears. Your brain wakes up. The same task that felt impossible a week ago now feels urgent, maybe even doable. And if you've ever wondered why that happens, why your brain seems to wait until the last possible moment before it starts working, the answer is probably not what you've been told. The usual explanation is that you're lazy, that if you were more disciplined, more motivated, or more responsible, you would simply start earlier. But that explanation falls apart pretty quickly, because many people who procrastinate aren't lazy at all. They work hard, they care deeply about their goals. Sometimes they care so much that they can't stop thinking about them. The strange thing is that the more important the task is, the more likely they are to delay it, which suggests the problem isn't a lack of effort. It's something happening before the effort even begins. One of the most useful ideas here comes from a concept called Temporal Motivation Theory. The theory says that motivation isn't fixed. It changes depending on how far away a reward or consequence feels. Your brain naturally gives more weight to things that are happening now than things that will happen later. A deadline next month feels abstract. A deadline tomorrow feels real. So when a project is far away, your brain sees uncertainty, effort, and delayed rewards. None of those feel particularly attractive. But as the deadline gets closer, something shifts. The consequences become immediate. The reward becomes visible. The task suddenly carries emotional weight, and motivation rises almost overnight. From the outside, it looks irrational. From the brain's perspective, it's responding exactly as it was designed to. What's even stranger is that the same person who procrastinates for weeks might respond to a text message in 10 seconds. They might spend an hour researching a vacation they won't take for 6 months. They might reorganize their entire room instead of starting the report due tomorrow. At first, that seems like a contradiction. If they can't focus, why can they spend hours doing other things? Because procrastination is usually not an inability to act. It's an inability to act on one specific thing. The task being avoided often carries discomfort, maybe uncertainty, maybe fear of failure, maybe the pressure of doing it well. The brain isn't avoiding work, it's avoiding a feeling. And sometimes cleaning the kitchen feels easier than facing that feeling. A well-known study by psychologist Dan Ariely and economist Klaus Wertenbrock followed students over a semester and found that participants who imposed deadlines on themselves performed significantly better than those given complete freedom. The study involved 99 students and showed that external structure helped people overcome the tendency to delay important work. Not because they lacked intelligence, because their motivation changed dramatically as deadlines became psychologically closer. The deadline wasn't creating ability, it was creating urgency, and urgency changes behavior. Of course, waiting until the last minute isn't always a disaster. Sometimes people genuinely do good work under pressure. The problem is the cost, the stress, the constant background guilt, the feeling of carrying something unfinished everywhere you go. A task can sit quietly in the corner of your mind for days or weeks, not demanding attention every second, just enough attention to drain energy. That's what makes procrastination exhausting. Not the work itself, the mental weight of postponing it. The people who wait until the last minute aren't necessarily careless. They're often highly sensitive to emotional friction. If a task feels uncertain, overwhelming, or personally meaningful, they feel that friction more strongly than others. They don't lack goals. In many cases, they care too much. The delay isn't evidence that the goal doesn't matter. Sometimes it's evidence that it matters enough to make them uncomfortable. And that's a very different story than laziness.